My mother's funeral was still a fresh wound, the kind that bleeds every time you breathe. When Dad announced he was getting married again, 2 months, 60 days since we buried her, and he was already slipping a ring on another woman's finger. I laughed when he told me, a bitter, jagged sound that made him flinch. Because what else do you do when the world turns upside down? I was 23, still living in the shadow of Mom's laughter, her warm hands braiding my hair, her voice singing off-key to old jazz records. Her name was Lila, and she was the kind of woman who could make a room feel like home just by walking into it. Cancer took her in a slow, cruel theft, leaving me and Dad to fumble through a house that felt like a museum of her absence. I thought we'd grieve together, lean on each other, maybe even heal. But Dad, he had other plans. Her name was Claire, the new woman, blonde, polished, with a smile that screamed, "I'm trying too hard." She was a real estate agent who sold Dad's colleague a condo last year, and apparently, she'd been selling Dad something else entirely while Mom was still coughing up her life in hospice. I found out later they'd been talking for months before Mom died. Talking. That word felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Dad swore it wasn't an affair, just emotional support. I didn't buy it. Neither did the ache in my chest. The wedding invitation arrived in a cream envelope, gold embossed, like they were celebrating a royal coronation instead of a betrayal. Join us in celebrating our new beginning. It read, "New beginning." Mom's jasmine perfume still lingered on her scarf in my closet, and Dad was out here chasing beginnings like they were on clearance. I tore the invitation in half and mailed it back with a single word scrawled in red ink. "No." Dad called me the next day, his voice thick with that fake patience he used when he wanted to play the reasonable one. "Ellie, you're being dramatic. Claire makes me happy. Don't you want that for me?" I wanted to scream that happiness wasn't a get-out-of-jail-free card for abandoning Mom's memory. Instead, I hung up. He didn't call back. The wedding was set for a Saturday in June, at a vineyard an hour outside town. I imagined Claire in a white dress, Dad in a tux, both of them grinning like they'd cracked the code to eternal bliss. I spent that day at Mom's grave, laying wildflowers, her favorite, on the cold stone. I talked to her, told her about the invitation, about Dad's new life, about how I didn't know how to stop hating him. The wind rustled the trees, and I swore I felt her hand on my shoulder, just for a second. Weeks passed, then months. Dad kept reaching out texts, voicemails, even a handwritten letter that reeked of Claire's floral stationery. "We miss you. Ellie, come to dinner. Let's be a family again." Family. The word felt like a slap. He'd built a new one without me, without Mom. And now he was shocked that I didn't show up to play happy daughter at his shiny new table. I tried to move on, to focus on my job at the bookstore, my friends, the life I was supposed to be building. But every time I saw a couple holding hands, every time I heard jazz on the radio, Mom's absence clawed at me, and so did Dad's choice. How do you forgive someone who trades forever for a fling? How do you sit across from a stranger who calls herself your stepmother when your real one is still whispering in your dreams? Then came the day I couldn't avoid him. It was Mom's birthday, a year after her death. I was at the park near our old house, the one where she used to push me on the swings, when Dad showed up, alone. No Claire, no excuses. Just him, looking older than I remembered, his eyes red-rimmed like he'd been crying. "Ellie," he said, voice breaking. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I wanted to run, to scream, to throw every ounce of my pain at him. But something in his face stopped me, maybe the way it mirrored Mom's when she knew she was running out of time. "Then why did you?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He didn't have an answer. Not really. Just a jumble of words about loneliness, about Claire being there when he was drowning, about how he thought I'd understand someday. I didn't understand. Not then. Maybe not ever. But standing there, with the autumn leaves crunching under my boots, I realized something. Dad wasn't the villain I'd made him out to be. He was just a man, broken and flawed, trying to stitch his life back together without the one person who'd held it all in place. Mom, I hated him for moving on, but I hated myself more for not knowing how to let her go. We talked for hours that day, not fixing anything, but cracking open the silence that had grown between us. He told me about Claire's kindness, how she'd lost her own husband years ago, how she wasn't trying to replace Mom, but just wanted a chance to love him. I told him about the hole in my chest, the one that opened when I saw that invitation, the one that grew every time I passed Mom's empty bedroom. We didn't hug or cry or make any grand promises, but we listened. For the first time in months, we listened. I still didn't go to their house for dinner. I wasn't ready to sit across from Claire, to see her in Mom's space, to pretend we were some patchwork family, but I stopped tearing up Dad's letters. I answered one of his texts, a simple, "I'm okay," that felt like a step towards something forgiveness, maybe, or at least understanding. Grief doesn't have a finish line, and neither does love. I was learning that the hard way. Dad's shock at my absence wasn't just about me skipping his wedding. It was about him realizing, too late, that moving on doesn't erase the past. He'd built a new life on the ashes of the old one, but I was still sifting through those ashes, looking for pieces of Mom to hold on to. Maybe one day I'd visit, sit at his table, meet Claire without feeling like I was betraying Mom. Maybe one day we'd find a way to be a family again. Not the same, but something new. For now, I keep Mom's scarf on my nightstand, her jasmine scent fading but never gone. I keep Dad's number unblocked, his messages unread but not deleted, and I keep walking forward, one shaky step at a time, carrying both their ghosts with me. What do you think? Was I wrong to shut Dad out? Or was he wrong to move on so fast? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear where you stand.